Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout Podcast. Kelley here. And today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite conversations that I've had this year, both on the podcast and blogged about and wrote about on Substack. And that was this concept of the soft lock-in instead of that hustle lock-in, end of the year, push, push, push. I want to revisit it today. But before I do that, I really want to revisit last week's conversation about wellness as a performance and what I'm seeing online and the pressures of women to conform to an aesthetic or that their worth is somehow tied by who says they love them. And I want to revisit it off the top with a tender note to say that that conversation I had, I felt called to have it, but I knew it would be complicated. I knew it would be a conversation that I hope I brought nuance to, because the fact is we all have these pressures every day, all day, and we all both are impacted by them and participate in them. And I want to make it clear that last week's episode wasn't a call to never put makeup on again or never go to the gym. I like makeup. In fact, I've been loving discovering makeup brands this year and trying different styles of makeup. I just love it. It's fun. And it makes me feel good when I wear a little bit of makeup. And I definitely want you all to feel good and to look good. But I want us to be honest about why we're doing it. And if it brings us joy, like I said, you like it, I love it. There are certain aesthetic trends that you may genuinely love. I don't want to shame you or blame you for loving it. I want you to nourish that in yourself. I just want to make it clear that what I am calling out is turning hustle into shame and this bizarre rejection of soft living and soft life as a way to say you'll never be anything and you'll be alone and unattractive if you pursue a soft life. That's the messaging I want us to reject. And if you are consuming content that makes you feel less than, if you are catching the bug of, oh, a man hasn't complimented me, I must not be worthy, that's the content I want you to reject. And that is the mindset that I want to liberate you from, that I work every day to liberate myself from. There are things I struggle with daily. I'm not perfect. I have both been victimized by that content and probably have participated in it. I love me a glow up. I'm not against a glow up. I just want it to come from a space of joy versus performance or purely aesthetic. I want you to feel beautiful, be beautiful, not just focus on looking quote unquote beautiful. Anyways, that's all I want to say about that. It's on my heart to keep reiterating the difference. We're not here to pile on Black women for looking good and wanting to go to the gym and doing Botox. Botox is kind of awesome if you go to someone who knows what they're doing. It's not that. It's just about what are the things, the practices, the trends that free you, and what are the ones that shame you and enslave you. And when you can distinguish between the two, you will find the soft life liberation you deserve. Okay. Woo, that's done. I want to get to the heart of today's episode, which is revisiting the soft lock-in. And we've had some time. We've talked about our goals. I, over on Substack, and I think on the podcast, talked about how I did my 12-week year. And that's a way that I prep to close my year out. I have some goals I want to accomplish and how rest is a goal that I've embedded in it. So we've had some time between those episodes and now, and I want to revisit it again because we're at the end of the year. So now there might be a temptation to do one final intense push. And instead, I want to revisit the soft lock-in and acknowledge that it's the end of the year and the world is different. You are different. And you may be at the level of exhaustion that I'm seeing everywhere that requires maybe a new approach. If your mind is saying, I want to get my life together, but your body is saying, girl, absolutely not, you're in the right place. And so this is kind of an updated soft lock-in where we're not powering up, we're powering gently and maybe powering down as we close out the year, because it's about resetting yourself without betraying your nervous system. We're all about trying to get as much regulation and peace as we can. So let's talk about how to lock in softly, for real this time, in a moment when so many of us are tired or overwhelmed or in need of a reset that feels really good. So When I talked about the soft lock-in, I really did talk a lot about productivity and ways to get things done softly. And to do that in a way that didn't make you feel like a failure. And it made sense because we all need that. The soft lock-in was not about hustle culture. It wasn't about discipline. It was about gentle consistency. It was about caring for yourself while pursuing goals. It was about finding a compassionate rhythm to your life versus a punishing one. It was about replacing shame with softness. And I think it resonated with so many people because it honored your humanity. But I also feel in just the short amount of time between that episode to now, the exhaustion feels a little deeper. The burnout feels a little heavier. And more importantly, the noise online is louder. And that means that the soft lock-in has to evolve one more time. So let's be honest. Right now, most of us just don't have the energy to lock in. I say this now as I'm recording this episode, and I know that I have to do strategic planning for my consultancy this week. I'm recording this on a Monday, and I'm kind of tired. Usually I'm super excited. This is one of my favorite activities in times of year. I'm not going to lie. I love a soft lock-in. I am about that life. But this year I'm literally, my eyes are closing on me. So I sit down to focus. I am trying to keep the energy going on a topic I love. I love working on my businesses. I really do. And maybe you feel like me. You're trying to stay afloat at work. You're trying to care for your family. You're trying to cope with this news cycle, y'all. You're trying to rest, but actually feel rested and you don't. You're trying to rest, but you're unable to actually feel rested. You're trying to be motivated, but you're running on fumes. It's just not the same world we had even a few months ago, and certainly not a few years ago. And so when people are online screaming, finish the year strong, grind it out, if you're like me, I know something in you shuts down. Because what many of us need right now isn't a push, it's a pause. We don't need more pressure. We need permission. Permission to slow down, permission to be soft with ourselves as we reset. And so this is what the revisit to the soft lock-in offers. As we close out the year, I want you to think about one core question, which is, how can I support myself, not improve myself? Because improvement culture says fix your life. And here at Black Girl Burnout, we are all about soft life liberation. We want to get free. So that culture says take care of yourself. So we're not doing fix your life anymore. We're switching to take care of yourself. We're looking beyond improvement, which asks for complete 360 transformation. And we're leaning towards softness because that asks for tending. So let's talk about a soft lock-in that's centered around nervous system safe goals, protect our bodies, small actions that have big emotional returns. All this conversation about what's your ROI, your return on investment. Let's talk about small things we can do that gives us an emotional return. Let's eliminate shame from the process. Let's think about doing what's manageable, not what's perfect or ideal. And let's choose gentleness as the strategy and not the reward. This end of the year, how about it not be about becoming your highest self? How about becoming your kindest self? So let's think about how we can do that in very simple ways. I think having these kind of simple, doable pillars makes a difference. And the first kind of pillar is having a measure of structure, but doing it softly. So step one is a soft structure. Instead of these kind of hard and fast routines, you've got to be up by 6:01 a.m. You've got to pound 55 ounces of water and run a mile before you eat your breakfast. Why don't we think of gentle anchors, like drinking water before coffee? I'm not going to tell you how much to drink, and I'm not going to tell you how much to space it apart. Just get at least a sip of water before you drink caffeine. How about stepping outside for 3 minutes of air versus you have to run a mile? How about laying in the bed before you rise and doing a 60-second check-in? Just scan your body and check in with it. Let's be real. One of the biggest sources of burnout for Black women is money, whether it's debt, divorce, home buying, investing, or just trying to make it to the next paycheck. Financial stress is real and it's exhausting. But here's something that can help: the Savvy Ladies Helpline. It's free. Yes, really free. You get 55 minutes with a certified financial expert, no strings, no judgment, just real answers to your real money questions. Want to build wealth, prep for retirement, figure out how to invest or navigate money after a breakup? They've got you. Savvy Ladies is on a mission to make financial education accessible to all women, and the helpline is a game changer. So if money is stealing your peace, I invite you to take one powerful step toward financial freedom. Visit savvyladies.org and book your free session today. You don't have to struggle alone. You can opt out of burnout and into clarity, confidence, and peace with your money. As someone who suffers with anemia, I know all too well how life-altering iron deficiency can be. Whether it's the overwhelming fatigue, the dry and brittle nails, the difficulty concentrating, it takes a toll. And then sometimes the supplements and treatments for iron deficiency have unpleasant side effects. That's why I'm excited about Citarol. Citarol from PharmaNutra is a premium iron supplement powered by sucrosomial technology. This helps your body absorb 3 to 4 times more iron while avoiding the common side effects of traditional iron supplements, the nausea and constipation. Citarol stands apart with 150 published clinical studies, unlike most supplement brands that have little to no clinical research. It's globally trusted and it's convenient. You can take it at any time, so there's no need to adjust your meals. It fits seamlessly into your day. It's 100% allergen-free, it's vegan and gluten-free. So if you're nodding along and I'm describing the symptoms because you are exhausted and your brain feels like it's in a fog, this could be exactly what you need. Join over 2 million people who have already discovered Citarol and found the help they needed. Head to pharmanutra-us.com and use the code BGB for 10% off your first order of Citarol. That's pharmanutra-us.com. Promo code BGB for 10% off today. How about each day choosing one priority instead of 5? Let's have some structure, but let's let it be flexible. Let's have some consistency, but let's make it be humane. So that's pillar 1, soft structure. Pillar 2 is going to be about soft expectations. And this is, if you're like me, this is where you may be struggling because our expectations are often based on a version of ourselves in the past that wasn't carrying this much. We had soft expectations that were perfectly reasonable for the time, but maybe at the end of the year, we're just too tired for some of the expectations we had before. So let's reframe it to have a soft expectation that asks, what is enough for today? And then let's let it be enough. Let's not add to it. No shame, no guilt, just honesty and truth. The third pillar is soft productivity. I know productivity has become this kind of loaded word where people are punishing themselves and calling it being productive, but let's do some soft productivity. And that means working with your energy, not against it. It means doing tasks in smaller chunks. It's about celebration of any step you take, of any of any step you take on the journey. It is all about enjoying the process and celebrating it, not perfection. And it finally allows rest to be a part of this cycle of productivity, not the end. It's not, I'm going to do these 5 things and then I will rest. It's that rest is along the journey. You create little micro moments of rest along the way. This is a type of productivity that honors your body and doesn't punish it. And the last one, my favorite one, and I think maybe the most important one, is soft rest. It's kind of a foundational step here. Resting softly, again, isn't that you just abandon working and sleep for 14 hours because most of us can't do that if we wanted to. But it's about the practice of giving yourselves these micro moments of release throughout the day. You know, I love a micro anything, y'all. It can be unclenching your jaw. It could be breathing deeply for 20 seconds. It can be pausing before jumping into the next task. I have to remind myself of this one daily. It's closing your laptop earlier. It's letting your shoulders fall and taking a deep breath out, releasing your stomach. You'd be surprised how much of us walk around the world with clenched bodies, and just taking the biggest sigh and letting it all out is rest. And soft rest is how we recover the version of ourselves that burnout so many times buries within us. So to recap those pillars again, for how to really softly lock in, it's about creating soft structure, soft expectations, soft productivity, and soft rest. So when we put it all together, what does this look like? And how can we kind of create this December reset plan? It's the end of the year. The holidays are here or have already happened, depending on when you're listening to this. How can you create, let's call it your December reset plan? Because if you're like me, I love a plan. And I love a plan even more when it's simple and when it's doable. And this year, I want to emphasize making it kind. So if you do the December reset plan and it's based on those 4 pillars, let's make it simple again and have it be 4 steps. Just 4. Stay with me now. You're going to choose one thing to finish, not 5, not 7, one thing. Something small enough that you can actually do it. Like, don't have this small goal be, I need to get 6 figures. No, make it possible and make it meaningful enough to feel good. So don't also just be, I painted 1 nail, right? It has to be a combination of meaningful and possible. Step 2, choose one thing to maintain. What's something that you're already doing that supports you? A ritual or a habit or a practice that feels grounding? Keep doing that. Step 3, choose one thing to release. Maybe it's a goal, a responsibility, a standard that you don't want to carry anymore. Maybe it's a lie you've been believing about yourself. Release is liberation. Letting things go is freedom. And the last step is choose one thing to rest around. That means that you think about things like, what's one thing I can stop pushing? What can I stop forcing? What can I stop pretending I have energy for? And let this step free up emotional space. Let me tell you about my December reset plan and the 4 steps I'm doing to kind of be an example for you so you can create your own. So one thing to finish, as I'm recording this, like I said, I am working on the Burn Bright strategy. I am building it. I'm reducing what it looks like. I'm going to get to that when I get to the thing I want to release, but it's meaningful. It's something I kind of have to do, and it's meaningful enough to feel good, and it's also very possible. What's one thing I'm choosing to maintain? I am choosing to maintain my morning routine. It's something that has become a habit for me. I really like it. And it's not dependent on when I wake up. My morning routine just means that when I get up, I drink some water by my bedside. I take my supplements. I have breakfast. And before all of that, I stretch out in my bed. So what's the one thing I'm going to release? I'm going to release the 17-step plan I normally have for Burn Bright strategy plan. And instead, I am going to make it a few steps. I'm going to have just 3 main goals, a few ways to get it done. I am going to release the responsibility I've placed upon myself to do it all perfectly. I have a phenomenal business strategist that I work with, a coach. You're going to meet her next year because she's going to be on the podcast. And I'm leaning on her to help me co-develop this strategy versus me strategizing by myself in a corner to the point of exhaustion. I am releasing the need to do it all myself and to do it all the hard way. And that release is truly making me feel liberated. And last but not least, what's the one thing I'm choosing to rest around? I am going to stop pretending I'm not tired. And I am going to stop pretending I have the energy for complicated strategic plans, busy meeting-filled days, and exhaustive checklists. I am letting it all go, and I'm freeing myself up and letting myself have half days. I'm taking 2 weeks off the end of the year and I'm doing half days the beginning of the year, I am releasing the need to work full time. Not December, y'all. It's my rest month. So hopefully this has inspired you to be serious about creating your own December reset plan. Please share it on the socials. Tag Black Girl Burnout. I will be looking at the social media even when I'm off because it brings me so much joy. So share with the community so other women can see what you're doing. And let's close out this episode with an affirmation and nervous system calming redirection. Let's all breathe this in together and affirm. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to grind your way into a new year. You're allowed to reset softly. You're allowed to move gently. You don't need a harder lock-in. You need a kinder one. Okay? Okay. That's it for this episode. If this conversation resonated with you, stay with me because next we're entering one of my favorite episodes of the year. I'm really excited for this one. And that is the Black Girl Burnout Commandments. That is our end of the month, 2025, closing it out with me talking about the foundational principles that is going to shape this podcast going forward and hopefully maybe your life in a way that is soft, liberatory, and deeply intentional as we go into a new season. You know the drill. If you enjoy this podcast, subscribe, follow, share it with Black women. I really want this podcast to grow, not just for my financial gain or me to be popular, but because I feel like this messaging can change your life. It's changed mine. It changes mine every day. And more Black women need to opt into this podcast and this way of soft life liberation. So share it freely. We're on a mission to have more reviews. I want 700 on Apple and 800 plus on Spotify. If you can, take a second to just hit the stars. You don't even have to write words, but I want you to know I read every word there is. Follow us across all the platforms. It's real simple. It's Black Girl Burnout everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, my baby Substack. You know I love Substack. We're about 16,000 strong over there. I go deeper. I have some real surprises coming for Substack in the new year. It's going to make a $5 a month investment. It's going to blow your mind what I'm going to give you in exchange for that. And I think it's going to be worthy and a good way to create reciprocity between us of me giving, you giving, everyone benefiting and growing. But that's all coming in the future. And that's all it for now. So until next week, take care of yourself, take care of each other, be gentle, move slowly, and remember, softness is not weakness. Softness is wisdom.